Welcome back to the Full Time Ultras, and we're looking at the Carabao Cup final, and we've got the gang back together to discuss what exactly happened in that game. We've finally, taken a couple of days to kind of figure out what exactly that game was, and we're back here to give our thoughts and to discuss everything that happened in that game. Liverpool ended up winning thanks to a Virgil Van Dijk header, a captain's goal, and that secured them the Carabao Cup. And we'll straight away get started by introducing the panel. We've got two Chelsea fans and a Liverpool fan. We'll start off with Sean, our Liverpool fan. 2 days to reflect, Sean. How does it feel finally?
Pretty good because it could be like that's the reason I stayed up. like Google was up as well. Uh, till like 4 5 a.m. watching the match in Sydney because it could potentially be Klopp's last final. We don't know. But it was a really good win. It was a fun game. Like it was super entertaining, super chaotic. I think anyone could have won it. I was really worried because our injuries have been piling up. And then when I saw the bench, I was like, if this goes to extra time, I don't think we'll be able to like do it. But
Mm.
like they really like you know like the boys from the academy came in and they fit so seamlessly and it was amazing. Plus, like the crowd at Wembley was insane. Like in extra time, they started like this Ale 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 chant that was so loud and went on for 5 minutes. I was up at like 4 a.m. bouncing in my room. So it was a good, like a really good final. The Klopp documentary will have a nice trophy lift. Hopefully, it's not the only one. So we'll see.
We'll get into the lineup that Liverpool put up. We'll talk more about that. But we've got one of the Chelsea fans, Mr. Gogol. How was it? Finally, you can see clearly disappointment slightly has gone away.
No, so I was trying to write an introduction for today's episode, and here's what I have so far. Pain.
As usual,
That's it.
Spain all this season. And what about you, Aditya? We saw the game
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
There were instances where you kind of just gave up, seeing how Chelsea were playing. What are your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it's disappointing, obviously. To it's just the manner of the defeat that's frustrating for me. So I don't know uh, how we're going to bounce back from this because it was quite soul crushing. In just the manner that like losing 1-0 to Liverpool at their best is one thing, but the way in which we went out, particularly in extra time, is frustrating.
And especially to a Liverpool side that were lacking so many of their key players. Sean, let's kick it off and talking about that lineup that Liverpool put in. There was no Nunes, there was no Jota, there was no Salah, there was no Szoboszlai, there's no Trent Alexander-Arnold. So this is basically
No
your
Curtis, who's been like
no
really good
Curtis
this
Jones,
season.
exactly.
Yeah.
But this is basically your core, right?
Hmm.
So when the lineup comes out and when you see that these names are missing, what exactly is going on in your head? Do you feel a little bit deflated, or do you feel that we did we still have that hope that Liverpool could go up and do something like what they did?
Like two things. Like the first, like the lineup, the starting 11, I trusted them to like play well because like the squad is meshed really well. So whoever comes in,
Hmm.
like whoever is playing like their roles, I felt like they could get some sort of job done. Secondly, it was Chelsea, so you either get a really shit Chelsea or you get a really good Chelsea that can draw to Manchester City. So I didn't know which Chelsea we were going to get, and I hope we got like a little shit Chelsea.
Hmm.
It was the bench that worried me, क्योंकि like Chelsea, like correct me if I'm wrong, but and Kunku didn't start, right? He came
No.
on. He came on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
quality attackers like that coming on, making a difference. That was my worry, because if from an offensive point of view, we didn't really have much on the bench. with Salah, Jota out, Nunez out. We didn't have, and we had Dan's who's only like made one appearance for Liverpool before this. That too, it was like a 5 minute stint. So I was worried, like with our substitutes, that was my major worry. But they proved me wrong. So yeah, it was amazing.
I, Gogol, when you looked at that Liverpool side, and you definitely might have felt that if there is a chance to be winning this trophy, this is the chance, right? Did
Yeah.
you expect more from this Chelsea team that was out? Because you guys had most of your 11 players, like most of your core, who have
Yeah.
been playing for a longer time. Uh, I don't want to get into the squad value debate. That will take us a long time. But
I mean,
uh, yeah, but just to like ask you, surely you went into this seeing the lineups with a little bit more confidence that we can win this not only in 120 but actually in 90.
I think it was a performance against City that gave me hope, that we could actually do it. But even saying that this is our first 11 or something like that, for almost all of them, this was their first finals. This was their first season playing at the top level in a top club, expecting to win a final. So, for a lot of players. So, I mean, if they were inexperienced, so were we. So, I mean,
Ooh,
it wasn't,
But
very,
really,
very
really,
different levels though.
yeah,
yeah,
different
because
levels. I mean, of course, you can't compare, but then with a team so low on confidence, struggling in the league, struggling every week almost. So I think I am really happy with the performance, to be honest. I mean, apart from the extra time, before that, the first 90, I'm really happy. So, but this was
uh,
our chance. As you asked, after
hmm,
seeing that Liverpool lineup, I was like doing the Ronaldinho meme, like, let's go.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, nine. It wasn't to be. It wasn't meant to be.
Aditya, do you agree with what Gogol has to say regarding the performance? Because we saw the game together, and you were cut as someone who was really frustrated watching that game, and you didn't seem very happy with the performance. What do you have to make about the game in general?
I think, I mean, it was a typical cup final, so it was very scrappy for like the first 30-ish minutes. Both teams just giving the ball away endlessly. It never felt like, there was any real threat from either team. I think my frustration was more due to events that were taking place as opposed to the performance, because I agree with them. I think we should have won that game in 90 minutes. We created enough chances in those 90 minutes to win, and we should have scored maybe two or three, because Palmer, again, the Keller has made a really good save from that Palmer shot. Gallagher has to score there. It's a one-on-one. He's got plenty of time. He's got to score. Then there was a moment where Enzo Fernandez, like, he's got the ball in the box and he tries a back heel when he just has to reverse it to like two options waiting to like walk onto it. So it's those kinds of things that frustrated me, because we just lacked that decision making in the final third. But overall, the 90 minutes performance I did like. So I agree with him. It was not a bad performance by any means.
It was just the chances you guys needed to convert, and some of the
Yeah.
chances that didn't go in. I was just how does Chelsea and Liverpool always end up being 0-0? Like how
First
like
Yeah.
picture.
some of the chances, like the Gallagher one that hits the post as well. Like he
Oh my god,
instantly
yeah.
hits the post. I'm like, how
Yeah.
is this? Like, are we like? Is it like a necessity to watch Chelsea and Liverpool for 120
Uh,
minutes? Does that have to be
so
there?
annoying. Gakpo's
Absolutely.
header, Gakpo's header that hit the post, Harvey Elliott off the line. I was just like, nahi hoga, मतलब goal ही नहीं
Oh
जाएगा.
yeah.
Exactly.
Then two
And
disallowed goals.
exactly. That's where I wanted to come in. We thought that the game would be settled in 90 minutes. Liverpool scored through a Van Dijk header. The goal was ruled out for offside and or a foul or a foul. I'm still not sure as to what that was.
I think they
But Sean,
clarified
what
it
did
as
you?
a technical offside or something, right?
It
It
was
was an
offside.
offside, nah?
Yeah. Okay. So,
Like
Sean, I just wanted to get your view on what did you make of that decision?
on the day, once I saw the analysis, like I I agreed. I was like, okay, Endo was off when the ball was played, and he made some sort of movement towards Colville to like block him. Then I saw like Twitter was having a meltdown over this, and there were arguments that it wasn't like Endo didn't make a very active like he didn't use his hands. There was not a lot of effort to make a block. He put himself in the way. Colville hit him,
Yeah,
and Colville kind of gave up. So
yeah,
it's I understand, like, and I was discussing this with Aditya as well. I understand the decision. I get it. I know how it's an offside, but I just feel, like I don't know. Like it's a bit. A lot of
I
these things
think
happen in free kicks.
that's a reaction for most of us, like we understand why it was given, but then
Huh.
it is something that's usually not given and that VR doesn't
Huh.
pick up on that often.
Huh.
So it's
So as
very
long as they're
weird that in a cup
hmm.
final they'd pick something like this out. First of all, hats off to the VR to even notice that, because
Hats off to the VAR.
when we
Things I
watched it,
never hear Google say.
when we watched the replays, I think even Chelsea fans, we didn't pick it out or
Yeah.
complain about that. Even on field, Colville didn't complain about
No.
it. I think he did.
Yeah.
Like he raised his arms and shit, but nobody else did. So for
Hmm.
VR
yeah. But
to see that and pick it up, I mean, yeah,
hats
credit
off.
to
I
them.
don't think it's more of a hats off thing. I think it was over refereed. That was a situation where it
I
was
mean,
over refereed,
it is
and
just
I
that
think
the
football.
bar they have set is so low कि अभी इसमें hats off करना पड़ेगा. This is them
Oh yeah,
overachieving.
because for me, slowly the reason I started loving football was obviously for how like those tackles flying in, the hard, heavy sort of football. That's the football we grew up watching. Some of our favorite players were players who were like give it all on the field. Like tackle and push and this and that. And for me, football slowly is going into a non-contact territory. It's like every touch, every barge, everything is being scrutinized so much. And I'm like, does Endo blocking Colville makes so much of a difference for Van Dijk to score? I
It
don't think
does.
so.
I mean, on the
That
counter, I think
much
it
of a
does
difference.
because Colville was the one marking Van Dijk. He was tracking his run. So he
I'm not
was,
sure about that though. Like
But
I'm a
is
bit
that
confused.
is that is that enough contact for Colville to stop?
I think
Really?
it's when they showed the first replays, where the VR replays and all, I wasn't convinced. But then they showed it from the other angle, where you can clearly see Endo looking at Colville, then adjusting his position to block him off. And when you see that, it
Hmm.
becomes a bit more obvious. Ki, haan, chalo, it
Because
was
when I
intentional.
when I look at when I look at Colville and when
And
I see
I
his
think
reaction when Van Dijk scores, for me Colville is like I've
so.
I've made a mistake over here.
What I'll
He's
tell
not
you
like, oh, he's pushed me and he's done this and he's done that.
the
You
point
know.
to take out of this is it wasn't given as a foul. It was given as an offside. So if Endo would
Hmm.
have been onside, there was nothing
Yeah,
to,
would have stood.
there was nothing wrong with the goal. So, like you're allowed to do that. I think maybe they're saying you're allowed to do that, but you were in an offside position doing that. Oh,
No,
I
you're
don't
definitely
get.
you're definitely allowed to make some
Yeah.
because Endo didn't use his hands or anything. He
Yeah.
wasn't wrestling with Colville.
So basically, he just
Like, and I kind of
interfered with play in an offside position.
which
So
is
Yeah.
which again I
when you
get.
see it from that way, I think it's
Ha.
fair.
Cool. Like, but I also like I guess when you see everything in slow motion, you can overanalyze it.
Yeah.
So, like for me, I was like,
Like
"Arey,
you crying
Colville."
for that Caicedo red card.
I thought it was a yellow. Even I was crying for a foul. I was like, I was like, he needs
No,
to be
that
on
was
thumbs. Yeah,
that was pretty naughty. That was a pretty naughty
I
tackle
mean,
though.
it could have been a yellow, but
yeah,
then VAR can't tell them to go for a yellow, so
yeah.
that's what
Now,
it is.
because the thing is, when you have someone like Caicedo on a yellow card for 60 minutes of the game, that's an advantage for us. So,
Yeah.
and now we've lost the advantage of a yellow card, and we've lost a good player to a bad injury. So it
Yeah.
was like I was quite frustrated at that moment. So
I
yeah,
mean, he
Yeah.
did play those like 60 minutes of that City game with a yellow card, and he did just fine. So I don't know
but
how
I
much
mean,
of an
final
I'm
advantage that
pressure,
is.
he was a
surprised
bit like
how he
yeah,
escaped a yellow card in the first half. Like he was committing
yeah.
so many fouls. I was ready to bet on him कि हाँ ये yellow खाएगा चलो पैसे तो आ रहे हैं आज. But then
But he replaced Fabinho, I think. Remember how Fabinho would never get booked for like for the longest
Oh
time
yeah,
for
my
Liverpool.
God.
कुछ भी करता था, he did not get booked for a very long time. Same thing.
Aditya, I just wanted to move it forward and ask you, like, Chelsea, the drop off in the tempo at which they play, right? Now it's been like a good half season with Pochettino. Why do you think that's still happening? Why do you think Chelsea are not able to keep sustained pressure against opposition? And why does it take comments like from Poch to be like, oh, we were waiting for penalties? You know, why is that happening with Chelsea? And when do you think that this should improve? Like, because we're not uh, it's literally costing Chelsea a lot of games, right? With them not being able to keep that tempo up. Where do you draw a line with this going forward?
So it feels like our general conditioning has kind of regressed, because I remember early in the season we used to be very, very good at running and, covering a lot of ground, making those tackles, pressing high. But over the season, like the City game, again, we saw after like 60, 65 minutes, Sterling tired, Jackson tired, Palmer tired. You don't have the bench to support that kind of play. So I don't know what's going wrong there. And regarding Poch's comments, I think he's tried to take some pressure off his players, because I mean, obviously he in his mind he's not thinking, oh, we're waiting for penalties, but he can see his players are tired out there, and I feel like that's a way to take some flack. Not that he needs to, because he's already under so much pressure, but I feel like that's a way to like take some weight off his players and some responsibility off his players from the media and the like, because there's a lot of criticism flying around about everyone involved with the club at this point.
What do you want
I
to have? Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
No, no,
Go on, go on, go on, go on.
no. I just feel it's it's understandable to an extent, because again we are a very young squad. Like Google pointed out, it's a bunch of players who haven't played a competitive final. Like a lot of them haven't played a competitive final. So I can understand all the pressure, the decisions going wrong, the fatigue, because it's very nerve wracking as well to be on that pitch. Um, but yeah, I would like for this to slowly get you know phased out, because that would be like a real sign of progress. Now it's fine. I don't want to be hearing this like the next final or the next to next final.
and to be honest, like I don't understand the reaction of a lot of fans. You know, for the first time, I am actually defending the manager over here and the squad because stop laughing, Appu. So I
Uh,
mean, yeah, it wasn't. They've made progress. You can see that they've made progress. So and it's the first time for a lot of them. So you can't say that oh we are shit or we're that we're that. I mean, it does not make sense because it's the first final for a lot of them, and you could see in their body language how nervous they were. You could see
Yeah.
for someone like Gallagher to look nervous, who's been bossing the game this season, running around the pitch. You could see on his face he was nervous. The only one who probably had experience and looked confident was Chilwell. Although he played shit, but you could see that he was like he had experience
भाई
of being in a
वो
final. You could
बच्चों से
see.
झगड़ा कर रहा था मतलब पूरा टाइम.
No, but
Like,
I still
You
feel,
need that.
I
You
still
need that
feel,
in a final, right?
no,
You can't
but
just
I
be
still feel
a
these,
Biggie Billy.
yeah, but I still feel Enzo has played a World Cup final, right? He's
yeah,
won
I
it,
was gonna say.
right? Because what I think what was the difference between Liverpool and Chelsea over here was that uh, the Liverpool players took it more on their shoulders to be like, yeah, we have to show and we have to fight for this game. And I felt somewhere down the line, Chelsea were lacking a leader on the pitch. Now I don't know who that leader is, right? Because in times like this, right, when you are in a final, right, you need someone to look up to, right? And we'll obviously talk about Van Dijk quickly later, but I think that was lacking with Chelsea, right? Whether it was Thiago Silva who didn't play this game, is Thiago Silva, there are question marks over there as well. Is Thiago Silva that man? Do you think Chelsea were lacking that presence? And if Chelsea had that, that could be the difference, Google?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Gallagher has been our captain in a lot of games this season. Gallagher, who wasn't even in
Hmm.
the squad last season, like not a main part of the squad last season or the season before that, he's been our captain. Then, but this game we had Ben Chilwell as our captain, but then he's been absent almost the entire season. So,
Yeah.
he's not probably that familiar with the squad. That bonding is not there. So we've had Thiago Silva who's done that role, but now he's on bad terms with the manager apparently, and the board and
Hmm.
the club. So I think he's no longer the man. So we are definitely lacking a leader in that respect. But I mean,
Uh,
that's been the case that us as Chelsea fans have been saying since last season. Like, it's okay, you've built a young squad, but you need some experience in there as well to guide these young
uh,
guys.
how would you rectify this, Aditya? How would you rectify this leadership issue? Because if you're looking at the leaders, if you go with this blueprint saying that you want to sign really young players, and then you have the likes, you give the armband to Reece James, who is not available, right? Your second vice captain is Chilwell, who's also an injury issue most of the times. Going forward, how do you rectify this? Like, do you sign a player who's experienced and then do you give him the armband straight away? Then that will also get people questioning that he doesn't have the Chelsea ethos. Like, how do you like battle this? Because this is something that is costing another reason that's also costing you games because there's no one to look up to.
I think, well, I'm sure a lot of people will be tired of me saying this again and again, but patience is definitely needed. And Arsenal are a really good blueprint for how to manage this kind of situation because they had probably the youngest squad, I think, 2 seasons ago, and they gave it to a young guy as well in Martin Odegaard, who's a good leader, no doubt. But what they did to address the experience issue was have like signed just like 2 or 3 key players in some positions to give you like a kind of backbone. I think it's got to be similar for Chelsea because number one, the whole profitability and sustainability thing. There's very little wiggle room for mass changes, and I think that's a good thing because it means that we won't be overhauling the squad again, and we don't need to. I think
Yeah,
now we just have to have like a 2 or 3 signings which address key issues. Like you said, Thiago Silva's his contract's probably not going to be renewed,
no,
and
he's gone.
he's being phased out of the squad.
Yeah,
I genuinely I don't know if Google agrees with me here, but
yeah.
I generally don't think he's our best choice anymore
Yeah.
No,
in
no,
that
he's
centre
not.
back pairing.
He's not. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not going to be him. Chilwell and James, hopefully they can be more fit. I would like to see one proper captain, available at least like 34, 35 game weeks of 38, because I feel like that's also important to build a kind of, that leadership and responsibility around a group. It also does come with being there on the pitch and, like when things are going wrong, you have experience in being like, hey, calm down, we're going to do this, or
Yeah.
just being the voice of the coach on the pitch, basically.
Yeah.
That's definitely lacking. So I think just patience and maybe 2, 3 signings for a bit of experience.
As Appu said, like taking Arsenal's blueprint, like signing a player like Jorginho, who's not playing, he's not going to be your starter, but just having them around the squad and
Hmm.
on the pitch in difficult moments to keep the squad together. It's basically that we have a squad, we don't have a team. We need to build a
Yeah.
Yeah.
team. So that's the only thing that's lacking at the moment. I mean, not the only thing, but
Sean,
one of the main things.
speaking of leaders, there was one guy who obviously he had scored earlier in the game, and then we all thought that yeah, this is heading to another penalty shootout. Maybe that
Yeah.
penalty shootout would have also taken another 120 minutes to complete. But finally, it was Van Dijk who popped up again and basically just single-handedly won you the trophy in terms of his performance. What do you have to make? What do you have to say? You know, for his contribution to this Liverpool team.
Oh, he was. I mean, like his contribution to this Liverpool team, like I can talk about that for like so long because like Van Dijk and Allison coming into our squad like changed Klopp's Liverpool from like a top four side to actively challenging for getting to Champions League finals, being in the league. Um, he's like an incredible leader. Henderson, who was our captain for so long, like we haven't missed. Like the transition's been so smooth because now we have like Van Dijk and like Trent as vice captain. So yeah, he's really good. He's very vocal. And he was doing a very like really good job of like commanding the midfield in front of him. That was very young in extra time as well. And him and Konate were like really really good.
Good
Like
performance.
they snuffed out a lot of like dangerous moves because Chelsea were going through our midfield like fairly often. So yeah, it's just like immense having a captain like, and this was Van Dijk's first trophy lift, so I'm like really happy. Yeah, key part. The fact that we had our main defensive center back pairing, that was reassuring for me going into this, and they proved it. Like they were like really good.
So the first trophy, Sean, for you guys in the bag. But when you look at the future now, you still have a lot of players who are missing. Some will probably come back earlier. There were also pictures of Endo being on crutches. He also had a
Hmm.
pretty good game. What now? Are you worried going into your future prospects when you're chasing the title with so many players out because the games are coming thick and fast? Also, the Europa League. Where do you
Hmm.
want to see Liverpool go from next? Especially when
Uh,
the Premier League title is concerned.
yeah, I mean the like we have to take it one game at a time. Obviously, that's what like Klopp says in all his press conferences as well. So like our next job is going to be to get through the fifth round of the FA Cup versus Southampton in a few days. I don't know what squad we're going to like put for that because
Mm.
like a lot of our players need the rest. Like Endo is not injured; he was in training today, but
Oh,
he
okay.
played like the whole 120. Um, Diaz ran his like butt off. Elliot ran the entire game.
Mm.
So it's going to be tricky, but we'll see how we go. And obviously, as a Liverpool fan, like my preference would be focusing on the league, but it's going to be a really tough three
Yeah.
horse race. We play City at Anfield. I don't know how it's going to go.
Mm.
So yeah, just like one game at a time to see what the squad can do. And
That
clearly,
is
Klopp's
one
built something
game,
good. Yeah.
and that is one game you definitely want most of your key players to come back because
Oh, City
that's
at
that's
Anfield.
Manchester
Yeah,
City.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a massive game. Hopefully, we have Trent back, and Bradley has been doing so well that it gives us an option to even be cheeky and
Play in
play Trent
midfield.
in midfield. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. Let's see what happens.
Quickly, Gogol and Aditya both. I'll start with Aditya. Your prospects now going into the season ahead. You guys have a crucial FA Cup tie against Leeds as well, and Leeds are flying in the championship. What do you want to? What do you want to see now more from Chelsea? How do you want this season to end? I'll start with you, Aditya.
Yeah, I mean, I think FA Cup try to maybe hopefully get to the final of the FA Cup to just build more experience and get through that knockout competition. And in the league, I think realistically, I don't see us finishing above seventh. I think we should at least try to get to that seventh spot, but it's going to be difficult. I
Todd
can see
Bowley
you
being
smiling.
arrested. Todd Bowley being arrested in the bank.
For
I
financial
did it, yeah.
violation.
You did have to mention it. For context, there was police siren outside my window. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, Aditya. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's about it. I feel like this. It's just I would like to see more performances and for us to grow as a squad. That's the main thing.
Gobal.
I think for me, I would like a bit more consistency. I'd say, like we've been performing good in some games, and then the next game we are really shit. So
Yeah.
a bit more consistency, and I mean, I can see the progress from the first game of the season or mid of the season to now. I can see some progress, but I say that every second week, so I don't know. But so that just proves my point that we are lacking a bit of consistency, and that's what I'd like to see again day after tomorrow, or is it tomorrow? I think that we play
Hmm.
Leeds.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Yeah, so it's a crucial game, so have to win that. And there are reports saying that that's Poch's big test. If he fails that,
Mm.
there will be big question marks upon his job. So we have to
Plus,
win that.
Nkunku out for another month.
And I
Ah,
mean, we'll discuss that in a later video about Chelsea's problems.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
realistically, league, I mean, I think we are married to the 10th position, so there is no question about leaving that. We are a loyal
Yeah.
club and we'll stay with 10th.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but no, I'd like to
Lucky
see
number.
us move to at least, like Aditya said, at least 7th. I mean, that's got to be the minimum. And I can't even imagine me saying this or us saying this 3 years back, 4 years back. That finishing 7th is the minimum. So, but
Yeah.
hmm.
that's the place where we are now. As Poch has said multiple times, we are a mid-table club. That's our reality.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
we have to be realistic. But then we have to look at the bigger picture, the squad settling in, gelling well together, and building a team, as I said.
So I think the key for both Liverpool will be to finish as high as they can, especially in terms of winning the title and giving Klopp the send off Liverpool fans want him to have. And for Chelsea
And the
is
referees too.
to, yeah, and
Liverpool.
and for Chelsea to finally have the dare to get a divorce from that 10th spot and finish higher. But with that, we've come to the end of this episode. It was, like I said, a unique final to watch. It took Van Dijk to step up and win Liverpool the Carabao Cup, and finally give Klopp his first silverware of the season. With that, we'll take your leave for this one. Don't forget to do the usual drill. Like, share, and subscribe. And let us know what you think, what you had to make about the controversial decisions also that happened in the game. Let us know in the comments below. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.